My presentation is on the security of IoT devices. So security of IoT devices, definition of IoT devices. IoT devices are devices that connect to the internet and that collect data, collect and exchange data. This can be any physical object that can connect to the internet and communicate with other devices, systems, or users via a network. These devices are embedded with sensors, software, and other technologies that enable them to collect, send, and receive data. IoT devices range from everyday household items like smart thermostats, fitness trackers, and connected appliances to more industrial applications such as smart sensors in manufacturing, healthcare devices, and automated systems in agriculture. Their primary goal is to enhance efficiency, automation, and data-driven decision-making by connecting the physical and digital worlds. Some examples of IoT devices are smart thermostats, healthcare devices, wearables, and connected home security systems. Other examples would be healthcare IoT devices, such as connected insulin pumps and remote health monitoring systems. The importance of IoT security. The growth of IoT devices, the number of IoT devices is expected to nearly double from 15.9 billion in 2023 to 32.1 billion by 2030. The impact of security breaches. There's data theft, unauthorized access, privacy issues, and potential physical harm. Common IoT security threats are hacking, which is unauthorized access to devices and data breaches, exposure of sensitive information, botnets, IoT devices used in coordinated attacks, such as the DDoS attacks, and privacy concern, unauthorized tracking and surveillance. Now, a couple of examples of some attacks was the distributed denial of service attack on DIN, which happened back in 2016, and the hackable cardiac devices from St. Jude. The DIN attack was a coordinated attack known as the Mirai botnet, and that occurred back in 2016. At the time, it was the largest distributed denial of service attack. It took place by shutting down most of the internet, including Twitter, Amazon, GitHub, and the New York Times. The attack targeted DIN, which was a company that services a large share of the internet's domain name systems infrastructure, and lasted most of the day. The type of malware used for the attack, which leveraged IoT devices rather than computers, resulted in extraordinary malicious attack, roughly twice as powerful as any similar attack on record at that time. What made the DIN attack unique was that the perpetrators used a specific type of botnet malware, which infects a network of computers and coordinates them to bombard specific servers with web traffic until the servers collapse. The DIN attack used a Mirai botnet, which used Internet of Things devices instead of computers. Employing this strategy gave the hackers many more devices to choose from, between 50,000 and 100,000, including home routers and video recorders. The perpetrators were able to access these IoT devices by hacking into them. Most of the IoT devices used for the Mirai botnet were running on default credentials In fact, after the attack, Mirai's source code was posted online and included default credentials for more than 60 devices. So the attack taught the world several valuable IoT security lessons. One, devices should always be able to have their software, passwords, and firmware updated. If these features cannot be updated, these devices should not be implemented as they are too vulnerable to attacks. Number two, users should not be allowed to keep default credentials. Some of the default credentials, for example, the admin would be admin and the password would actually be the word password in all lowercase letters. So users should not be allowed to keep the default credentials of devices. Number three, IoT devices should require unique passwords per device. And number four, IoT devices should always be patched with up-to-date software and firmware. Along with security lessons, the DIN attack also showed the need for increased consumer vigilance regarding IoT devices. The devices presented a new point of vulnerability for both consumers and the internet in general, and the attack taught a valuable lesson that with new technology and convenience also comes the need for increased awareness. Now, the other attack case study was the hackable cardiac devices from St. Jude. This occurred in 2017. And there was a concern about heart-related devices made by St. Jude Medical. These devices, such as pacemakers and defibrillators, which are very important for people with heart conditions, had serious vulnerabilities. The FDA confirmed this. These vulnerabilities meant that a hacker could potentially get into these devices. They could drain the battery, or even worse, make it perform improperly, such as give the wrong kind of electric pulse. This was problematic for anyone relying on these devices to stay healthy. So the issue was linked to the technology of these devices that communicates with doctors remotely. The transmitters, hackers could break into these transmitters and take control. So the St. Jude situation was another wake-up call, showing that as more medical IoT devices got online, the more cautious we have to be about IoT security. So the solution was St. Jude Medical released a series of cybersecurity updates for the Merlin remote monitoring system, which is used in its implantable pacemakers and defibrillators. So lessons learned, IoT devices need to be able to have their firmware, software, and passwords updated. Well, security challenges in IoT. Some of the security challenges are device delivery. There are varied manufacturers, standards, and technologies. Lack of standardization. There's inconsistent security practices across devices. Resource constraints, limited processing power and storage for robust security measures. And update management, difficulty in managing firmware updates and patches. So sort of limited device resources are low processing power. Many IoT devices, especially those designed for low power environments such as sensors and wearables, have limited processing capabilities, which makes it challenging to implement robust encryption, secure communication protocols, or other computationally intensive security measures. Inconsistent security standards, a lack of universal standards. The IoT ecosystem lacks universal security standards, leading to inconsistent security implementations across different manufacturers and industries. Diverse platforms, IoT devices are often built on different operating systems, hardware architectures, and communication protocols, creating gaps in security, coverage, and complicating device management. And device proliferation and scale. A massive number of devices. The sheer volume of IoT devices deployed globally presents a major challenge for managing security. Large-scale environments like smart cities, connected homes, and industrial IoT systems involve managing thousands or even millions of devices, increasing the attack surface. And there are several other security challenges with IoT. In the interest of time, I won't go through every single one, but there are another main one that I did want to mention was a lack of user awareness. Poor security practices. Many users of IoT devices, particularly in consumer markets, are unaware of the security risks and fail to follow basic security practices, such as updating passwords or applying firmware updates. Device longevity and obsolescence, long lifespan. Many IoT devices are designed to operate for years, sometimes decades, but security needs evolve quickly. Manufacturers may stop providing updates, leaving long-lived devices with outdated security protections. Some best practices for IoT security: changing default credentials, always set unique passwords and access controls. Regular firmware updates, keep software up to date to patch vulnerabilities. Network security, use firewalls and network segmentation to protect IoT devices. Encryption, encrypt data transmitted between devices and servers, and secure communication protocols, implement secure protocols like HTTPS, TLS. Regulatory and compliance measures for IoT. So some of the regulatory and compliance measures are the General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, which is a European regulation impacting IoT security. IoT Security Improvement Act, US legislation focused on improving IoT security. And industry standards, standards such as NIST, ISO, IEC for IoT security. There are many other regulations as well. These industry-specific regulations, such as HIPAA for medical, the automotive industry, ISO SAE 21434, and the energy sector, NERC CIP standards. Emerging trends in IoT security: AI and machine learning, using AI to detect anomalies and potential threats. Blockchain, enhancing security and transparency in IoT networks. And zero trust architecture, a security model focusing on strict verification and minimal access. So zero trust security model is continuous verification. The zero trust security model is gaining popularity in IoT networks. It assumes that no device, user, or system is trusted by default, even if it's inside the network. Each device must continuously verify its identity, and access controls are enforced strictly across all layers. And micro-segmentation. Network segmentation is a key principle in zero trust, ensuring that compromised devices are isolated from other critical systems, minimizing potential damage. Then there's another one that I wanted to mention, post-quantum cryptography, future-proofing encryption. As quantum computing becomes more advanced, it threatens to break traditional encryption algorithms. Post-quantum cryptography involves developing new cryptographic techniques that can resist quantum attacks, ensuring the security of IoT devices in the future. So the future outlook in IoT security: predicted trends, forecasting the evolution of IoT security, threats and solutions, and the importance of proactive measures, the need for continuous improvement in security practices. So increased regulatory oversight, stricter IoT security regulations, governments and regulatory bodies will likely impose stricter laws and guidelines to address IoT security issues. Future regulations may require manufacturers to implement security features such as secure firmware updates, encryption, strong authentication, and regular patching. Development of quantum-resistant encryption, preparing for quantum computing. With the advent of quantum computing, existing encryption algorithms used in IoT security may become vulnerable. Researchers are actively developing quantum-resistant cryptographic algorithms to safeguard IoT communications and data against future quantum threats. And proactive AI-powered security solutions. AI for threat prediction and detection. AI and machine learning will play an even larger role in IoT security by predicting and detecting threats in real time. These systems will use data analytics and behavioral monitoring to identify anomalies and mitigate risks before they escalate. So, in conclusion, with the growth of IoT, the threat of security breaches cannot be ignored. In IoT, including the device diversity, lack of standardization, resource constraints, and update management. Best practices for IoT security should be followed. Regulatory and compliance measures should be adhered to. Emerging trends in IoT security, such as AI, machine learning, blockchain, and zero trust architecture, can aid in the security of IoT devices. And a call to action, proactive security measures, and staying informed about IoT threats should be encouraged. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Dr. Foley. I think we do have.
Yes, I have a question, ma'am.
Yes.
So most of the IoT devices nowadays are wireless. They are running on a wireless network, maybe with your phone or maybe with your Wi-Fi or something. And how can we make sure that there is no vulnerability in the wireless network? Because in physical media or when we have a physical device, we can make sure that things are under our control. But when it comes to wireless media, is there any chance of vulnerability or attack, or is there a chance that someone can just jump into the our network and steal data or maybe anything critical that is being conducted by that IoT devices?
That's a very good question. One of the best things that can be done is having encryption on the wireless network. Encryption will prevent people from hacking in.
All right, ma'am. Thank you.
Any other questions?
You can also type your question in the chat if you have any.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes,
Uh,
Go ahead.
can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so you mentioned quantum technology and how it's advancing. So the only remedy for quantum threats is basically that we apply quantum computing against it, and there are no other measures because blockchain encryption and everything is of no use against quantum threats, I believe.
Well, quantum computing is still, these are some future trends that I was reviewing when doing my research. It's still not quite standard as of yet. but this is something that could be used in the future to provide security for IoT devices.
I have another question, ma'am, just out of
Yes.
curiosity. My question is, till present, what has been the major reason in the IoT devices security breaches? Like, which was the most common or most frequent uh, reason being for the security breaches over the IoT device or environment?
Could you repeat that, please? What was the what? I
Yeah, my
didn't.
question, yeah, no worries, ma'am. My question is, what is generally, or what is the most frequent reason being for a security breach in this
Oh,
IoT device?
for security breaches. Oh, because thank you for that question. It's a very good question. IoT devices, as I mentioned, they don't have a lot of security on them. They have low memory. A lot of times when they are delivered or implemented, the users do not change the passwords on them. They may come with the default credentials of admin and the password being password, and in more secure passwords are not implemented. It's easy to hack into them for this reason, and they could be used in bots to create distributed denial of service attacks. Uh, and they can be used basically as a bot army to go after larger targets. So, because of the limitations on some IoT devices, a lot of the legacy systems that use IoT devices, or a lot of the legacy IoT devices, I should say, they don't have security on them. This is a cause for concern that allows these devices to become hacked.